thankfully.
Okay.
Let's just hope that continues. So, guys, can you hear us? Just put up a message on chat if anybody, if you can't hear us or there's a problem. Yeah. Okay. Great. Um, so, how the event is structured is pretty simple. We're gonna start with Ali speaking. I'm gonna give a brief introduction about him, and then we start with the event. And the last 15 minutes is reserved for Q&A with Ali. Yeah. So just let me give a brief about the event, and then I'll go off stage, and then Ali can take it from there. Right. So breaking down TensorFlow is the first event that we are conducting as a part of our series called TensorFlow Thursdays. So the purpose of the series is very simple. We wanted to create a series called TensorFlow Thursday to help people in the community to learn about TensorFlow. And it's the name sounded catchy, so we stuck with that. As a part of it, we want to conduct bi-monthly 2 sessions per month, and if all things go well, if we are able to scale, then we will scale it to 4 sessions a month on every Thursday. Right? Yeah. So just let me hold on a second. Oops. I think I lost my. Hold on, guys. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Um, just let me stop presenting, and I'm gonna just present again. Just 1 second, guys. Apologies for the mishap. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we have Ali with us. He's a community organizer for TensorFlow User Group Mumbai, and he's also a software innovator at Intel, along with a bunch of things. So many things that I cannot even like. I cannot even. He has done so many amazing things that I cannot even remember. He has won many hackathons. He has been contributing to TensorFlow community for over 2 years now, and he started the first TensorFlow in India actually, TensorFlow user group in India, and he graduated some time back, and he has been doing some awesome things. So I think Ali is going to be a fantastic speaker to get into the basics of TensorFlow and. Help you guys understand what exactly falls under the universe of TensorFlow. Thank you all for joining us. You can join TensorFlow user group at as a Telegram community or on Meetup. We have about 750 people on Telegram and about 800 people on Meetup. So on Telegram, it's a real-time communication. You can ask your questions. There's some moderator, somebody or else who's gonna help you out with your queries and answer your queries. Right? On Meetup, you get to know about the events that are happening. That we keep on conducting, and hopefully we'll keep conducting more as part of the TensorFlow Thursday series. We still have some more events that we have planned, some more activities that we are discussing internally amongst the team members. So as soon as that are closed, we'll inform you about that also. Right? You can tweet about the event with the hashtag TensorFlow Thursdays. So use this if you want to ask any questions or just want to create a buzz. So please feel free to tweet about the event with TensorFlow Thursdays hashtag. Right, just a little bit about me. I'm the organizer for TensorFlow User Group Bangalore, and I'm also a marketing associate at Slang Labs, along with I also do community management, and I have avid trekker. You can reach me on Twitter with this handle and follow me on LinkedIn using the link given below to know about the upcoming events. We also have a Facebook page called TensorFlow User Group Bangalore, so please feel free to join that. And that's about it from my side. Very simple, short and sweet. Let's get to Ali without wasting any time. I know you guys want to hear from him more than me, so I'm gonna Ali. Why don't you take it from here?
Sure. I'll just share my screen and see if it works. Okay, it does. Okay. That's good. So, okay, I guess my video is visible, the screen is visible, bunch of people here. Okay, so I'll be, I'm on more of an interaction from you guys. So I would be asking some questions and looking at the chat. So please kind of, respond to questions if you feel like responding. But yeah, let's make it more interactive so that we can kind of communicate two ways, because already, in an online webinars kind of a setting, it is very difficult for a speaker to even know if you are there or not. And but that's why I want it to be a more, a bit of an interactive, if you guys are okay with that. So let's get started. And yeah, okay. So the topic is TensorFlow universe, because TensorFlow is actually pretty big. And like, I've been working with TensorFlow for last 2.5 years, and I can say that I'm still lagging at many parts. And if you hear anyone who is using TensorFlow, they will be also with the same opinion that they don't know the complete TensorFlow, or they might be an expert in a specific part. So without wasting much time, let's get started. So my typical way of saying hello is waving a hand. So if you can also wave a hand in front of your screen. Just say hello, and yeah, that would be good. But if you're from a CS background, so sudo hello everyone. So it forces you to say hello, maybe. Okay. About myself, I'm Ali Mustafa, and I build human networks. I've been working in the education field for around 3.5 years, and I have built and run programs at scale. And I my tagline is I build human networks, so not the computer ones. They are creepy, and I don't like them as well. But human networks are very, essential on onto your day-to-day life, and it empowers a lot of individuals, and gives you an ability to kind of understand the problems and solve it effectively. So yeah, these are some of my talks. I love to click selfies, and kind of I would definitely have loved taking selfies with you guys, but not a problem. We can settle on a screenshot maybe. Let's see. These are some of my sessions in Gujarat and Kolkata, Delhi. Like, I have been to like 32 cities in India. So yeah, majorly, my work revolves around machine learning, community, and crowdsourcing. So let's get started. That's a lot of information. Yeah. Also, many might be curious about what I do as a software innovator at Intel. So the program involves, us as an individual. So Intel supports individual developers to display our ability to create, amazing machine learning and deep learning projects or IoT projects. And I'm much more specialized in one API and IoT and ML. So I take sessions across different universities for that. We also have kind of I also work with different edge hardwares and software. So if you just want to check them out, definitely go there and give it a look. That will definitely be helpful for you. Maybe if you're making a new project, or you're just starting with machine learning, it will definitely be worth a watch, you can say. Okay. So before we get started and discover TensorFlow, what I wanted to give you guys was a brief of machine learning and a brief of where TensorFlow fits in when you are a corporate, when you are a professional developer, or when you are a student. Okay, so where are you going to use TensorFlow? Like typically the answer. So I usually follow this model, which is AI for people and business framework. Okay, and it is developed by Alex. Amazing framework. Okay, so if you look at it, there are majorly three components to it. Okay, one is North Star, benefits, and then components. Components has four different categories: experts, assessment, methodology, and then output. And each one of them has different kind of options. And if you go into benefits, then it gives you answers of why, then what is your approach, is it explainable or not. And then when you go to the North Star, it specifically focuses on human beings and businesses, like making better experiences for humans and making your business successful using machine learning or artificial intelligence in general. So if you look at this table, you will be able to understand that what where you sit in and what is required for you to become successful and adopt yourself in the field of artificial intelligence. So if you're a manager, and what will be your role, how you will do things, advisory uh, factors, and so on. Okay, so let's get started and discover some more amazing stuff which can help you. Okay. So the first thing which I always show to people is this video and ask a question on this video. Okay, typically. So let me put this up. So what do you think what's happening here? Can you please tell me? Yeah, I'm there in the chat having a look. So can you tell me what's happening in the video? It's very simple, very clear. You can put in chat and I will be able to see it. Yeah. Grading the pomegranate by Suresh. Yeah, that's good. Classification, sorting size-wise, classification, only the right side fits in the box. Perfect. So what we are doing here is we are just kind of, using a very simple method to classify the size of pomegranate so that this guy, the farmer can sell it according to the size. So the bigger the pomegranate, the better the price is. And do you think we should use machine learning to do this, or this method is okay? Yeah. Can you please put it like, is machine learning required for doing this, or should we design a machine learning algorithm which can do this, or it is okay by starting that way? Yeah, you can just put in your queries. I'm looking at the chat. Yeah. So if you ask me, I'll be definitely with an opinion that machine learning is not required here. The reason is that this problem statement, okay, the farmer which is solving, probably he might have only that much of pomegranate, and just to sort it out, he might be spending around 2 to 3 hours or 4 hours of his day. And technically, after the farming is done, he is not using that time to do anything else. So he's sorting them out. If you create an ML system for him, he will need a camera. He will need, a system which can sort this out for him, and that will be costly. Will he be able to afford it? Will he be able to make profit out of it? These are some of the questions you need to solve when you are in a business. And as fancy as it may sound, that an ML system will definitely work here, definitely will work without a doubt. But for a small farmer who cannot afford the system, it will be just a useless piece of algorithm which just sits there because it is heavy in nature. It requires a lot of different stuff. But imagine 100 farmers bringing their pomegranates and they want to sort this out. Do you think now machine learning can be implemented and we can do it in a better way than this personal sorting? Will that be an effective approach? Oh yes, because yeah, definitely, right? Because now we have 100 farmers out there, and they have produced thousands of kilos of pomegranate, and now we need to sort them out in a very time effective manner so that it doesn't rot it out, and so many different factors. So now we can kind of implement an algorithm. We can kind of build a small machine which can do this for them, and that would definitely be a plus one. Okay. Okay, that's good. Let's move ahead. So, for people who don't know what is machine learning, I would just give a small introduction. Okay. To me, like to just start from very basic concept, you might be, hearing machine learning every now and then, and many people also disregard it because people say that it is a buzzword and whatnot. And with everyone having internet available to them, they write stuff, amazing stuff about machine learning. So if you kind of get out of that hype and you kind of say that is it really the hype which makes machine learning, or is it really useful? People are using it or not? Like, is it just like people are just learning machine learning, or they are implementing something or not? So I will just give you a small introduction that will help you out to understand machine learning if you have not, if you don't know what it is. But if you already know, then this might be a bit, it's just 5 minutes thing. So yeah. So I always explain machine learning as a crying baby. Okay. So here you can see on the screen is a crying baby. Can you tell me why this baby is crying? What could be the reason why this guy is crying? Like, it could be multiple reasons because obviously, it's a child. So if you see him crying like that, what is your reason? Okay. So someone says his needs are not listened to. Okay. He cannot speak though, but he can cry. Okay. Missing his mom. That's a good example. Yeah. Anxiety of losing a toy. Okay. Okay. So if you are the mother of this child, obviously, or the father of this child, it will be definitely, a hectic process to understand why this guy is crying. And to understand that, what you will do is you will do a cyclic thing. You will be like, hey, do you want to eat something? Okay. And then you will give him some food and he will throw it away. And then you're like, okay, he doesn't want food. Then you'll bring in some toy and then he's like, do you like that toy? And then he's like, no, I don't want that toy. Then you will check his potty, like, if he has done potty, that's why he's crying, he needs cleaning. And then you will kind of, figure it out that, okay, this guy is crying like that. Now, if you see the life cycle of children, okay, it directly explains you how machine learning works. Okay. So the life cycle is you were born into this world and then you were named something. Okay, like for example, I was named Ali, and you didn't decide your name, but yeah, you were named something by someone, and once you were named, that was your label. So anyone kind of calls you with that name. So someone calls Ali on the street, there are hundreds of Ali, everyone will turn around, right? Because that is my label, like, very simple. And then this guy grows up in a culture. So if he's born in a Hindu family, he will learn the cultures. If he's born in a Muslim family, he will learn that cultures. Christian family, he will learn that cultures and then grow up in that way. And then once he grows up, he might be religious, not religious, maybe, XYZ factors. And then he might be a good man or a bad man and so on. So what happens is in his lifetime, he sees data points. Okay. And by seeing that data points, he learns something and then he implements that. And then once he turns, 30, 40, he will deliver a TEDx talk saying his experiences, his best experiences of life or worst experiences of his life and so on. So that is simple machine learning. To give you one another example, imagine the situation where a child is going to a mall, okay, and he is with you, okay, you are his father or mother, and you go to the mall with him, and everything is going fine. Suddenly, he sees a piece of chocolate, and he's like, "I want this chocolate." Okay, he looks at you, and you're like, "No, obviously, I'm not buying you a chocolate." And then what he will do is he will start crying. He'll be like, I want that chocolate. Simple as that. Okay. And he will what he can do is he can just cry. There's nothing more which he can do apart from crying. And then you are like, again, no, I don't, I don't really want to give you that chocolate. What happens next is he will sit down on the floor and he will start crying. That's his ultimate weapon. And at that moment, you will realize that, oh, it's more or less embarrassing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna give him that chocolate. Okay, that is fine for me. But what the child learned was that if he wants something, the first step is crying. The second step is crying loudly. Third step is to sit down on the floor and cry. And that's what you have been seeing. If you see kids out there, they do the same stuff because they know it works and it gets them their chocolate, right? At the end of the day. So that approach really works with a lot of people. But as an adult, do you do that? So let's say there is a new PS4 launched. Do you go there, sit on the floor, and cry? Do you do that? Yeah, you're like, I want that Xbox. Okay, so you will go with your parents to a mall, and then you will be like, hey mom, I want that Xbox, and then mom is like, no. Then you will sit down on the floor or cry. No, right? Why would you don't why wouldn't you do that? Because you know that your parents will directly disown you. They'll be like, we don't know this guy at all. Okay, we don't know him. He's not affiliated to any one of us. Because now crying is not an option. Okay, if you want an Xbox, you gotta buy it. Okay, and as adults, we know that we need money to go to a mall and then get that Xbox. Simple as that. So, it's all about experiences, looking at data points, collecting that data points, and then training our body according to that, and then coming up with a solution and so on and so forth. That is what machine learning actually is. So when we talk about artificial intelligence for businesses, or AI for business, and how it really works, okay. So I would say that how, what, and how and why of AI. So what what we need to do, how we are doing it, and why we are doing it are three very important points you need to note it down when you're working for a business. And I'm assuming you're learning TensorFlow for not kind of yourself. Maybe you are learning it for freelancing or working for an organization in the near future. Then comes if you're working for a startup or if you're working for a client, do they have is the organization ready enough? Are they ready to take the cost? Are they ready to take the risk? What assumptions are they making? Okay, what are the considerations they are considering before jumping into machine learning? And then what is the hype, what is the reality, and what is the future of artificial intelligence? Okay. So before we move into TensorFlow, we need to understand some basics, because to select a framework, some basics are very much required. And the first basic is data type. What kind of data do you have? Okay. Is it structured data? Is it unstructured data? Or is it semi-structured data? So for example, if it is structured data, like it is in tabular format, it is MySQL format. If it is an unstructured data, images are there, audios are there, videos are there, and random text are there. So it's not in a structured format, it is unstructured. And then comes semi-structured, where you have XML files, or you have JSON files, or you have emails which are in a semi-structured fashion. Okay. So the first thing is data types. Remember that TensorFlow or any other library will definitely be able to process all the data types, but some libraries are specific to data types. For example, if you're talking about NLTK, they are talking about natural language processing, and for that the data would be by default textual data. They might not be involving image data. It is understood that because we are doing natural language processing, we are going to use textual data. Okay. So data type is very, very important. Okay. Second comes different types of problem. What type of problem are you solving? Is it regression? Is it classification? Is it reinforcement learning, and so on and so forth? So for example, let's say we have a regression problem. Okay. So what happens typically in a regression problem is there are inputs which are labeled inputs, and then there is a model which you will define, and then it will give you an output in a constant numeric outputs. So it will be continuous. Okay, it won't be discrete. That's why it's called as a regression. If it is discrete, then it will be a classification problem. What are the applications for it? So for example, customer lifetime value. For example, if there is a customer who is using Netflix, will he renew next year or not? Okay. If he has been subscribed to Netflix, will he take Amazon Prime or HBO or Disney or XYZ factors? Okay. What is the revenue and growth of the company? How can I dynamically do the pricing? For example, Amazon showing you a stuff for $10, and suddenly you kind of come tomorrow and it becomes $15. So dynamic pricing. Stocks are one of the major parts where people kind of use regression algorithms. And then predictive maintenance, where we kind of predict how it's going to happen. Some examples are earthquake, then Zello's estimate, Nest predictive temperature optimization, Uber's ETA, how many times it's going to take for an Uber to come to your place. It's an example of regression, and so on. There are multiple examples. Then comes classification problem. Now, classification deals with inputs which are labeled, but it gets classified into you know uh, different categories. For example, there are binary classification, means two types, either yes or no. For example, spam, not spam. Okay, rich, poor. Okay. Then comes multi-class classification, where we say it is not just one. It has multiple labels. For example, you're passing apple, so it will say apple, red apple, green apple. Okay, so it is not just giving you one output, it's giving you multiple classes as an output. Okay, and it has one versus one and one versus all. So it's, for example, either it will give you ham, or either it will give you, ham, spam, or not sure at all. Okay. And then comes multi-label classification. So multi-label will be like, there is an apple, and then it will be like, it is an apple, it is of red color, and it is also a fruit. Okay. So that becomes a multi-label classification. Now, what are the applications for it? So, for example, here you can see for classification, there are a bunch of examples, and it starts from classifying email to medical diagnosis to image classification to credit card, risk analysis if the person is going to pay or not, and loan approval to so many of them. Some examples: Gmail spam filter, Google Eye Scan for heart disease. Then comes, if you are aware of this application, underwrite.ai, which actually calculates your credit risk and so on. So there are a bunch of applications available out there. Then comes recommendation systems, which are specifically, designed so that the content is much more recommended as per your interest. In a study, it was, Netflix said that 80% of the times, people watch what they suggest them to watch. Okay. So the recommendation systems play a very major role. If you say, big music players out there to big video streaming apps, everyone uses a recommendation system. And that is one of the major, you can say, outcome of your machine learning ecosystem. Some applications, product recommendation, movie, music, personalized content, Facebook, Instagram, and so on. And then targeted advertisement is also one of things which we do in recommendation system, because if you have searched on Amazon for t-shirt, we will show you ads for t-shirt. Okay, something like that. Examples are Amazon, Netflix, and you can say Spotify's, then Facebook feed, Twitter trends, and so on. These are a few examples. Like Twitter is something which very much excites me as well, because it gives you the trend. For example, COVID-19 is happening, so they already added a tab for COVID-19, and all the content there is optimized as per your location. So, for example, I'm in India, so it says India trends. I can hard code it, but again, it is totally dynamic. And then Amazon, for example, this is my Amazon homepage where you can say recommended for you. So I kind of look for masks, earphones, books. So it kind of shows me that items only as what I browse on Amazon.in. Okay. Then comes recognition systems, which are more like understanding the user. Okay. So for example, you can say recognizing someone wearing a PPE or not. This was one of my projects which I did in pandemic, and detecting PPE for coronavirus equipments. So your like gloves, full cover, mask, and then face shield, and etc. And major application you can see on Facebook is if someone uploads my photo, okay, then you can see that without even, I don't know where this guy, who this guy is, but he uploaded a photo of mine in a poster because I was taking a seminar somewhere. And then Facebook showed me the suggestion that, hey, Ali, we might have found a photo of you. Do you want to tag yourself? So that's where recognition systems come into the picture, where they kind of have some unstructured data and they try to match you with the person, okay, or with something unique. And here are some of the examples. For example, Pinterest lens, then Sesame Music. For example, you kind of now the latest one you can say is of Google Assistant, where you kind of murmur something, some song lyrics, and Google Assistant will search it for you. So that's where recognition algorithms comes into place. It's not just for images, it's for sound, it's for textual data, it's for everything else. Then comes computer vision. Computer vision specifically focuses on vision applications. When I say vision applications, it means what? Can someone tell me in the comments? Yeah. Anyone can tell me in the comments? What do I mean by vision? Yeah, just example of vision, not related to a company. Though Vishwash, yeah, object detection. Yeah, so vision. When I talk about vision, it just means human eyes. Okay, so human eyes, what human eyes can see, what it can do, everything which human eyes can see and do. For example, I can remember. So when I look at Vinayak, I know he is Vinayak, right? How is it possible? Because I know that I have met him before and I remember his face. Now there are hundreds of Vinayak in India, but I can, remember Vinayak with his proper faces because of my eyes, which actually helps me to see his face, and then my brain, which registers the features of his face and keeps it in my memory. And if you talk about self-driving cars, if you talk about n number of applications like that, they all use vision. Okay, so vision it comes in with surveillance as well. So it's a security cams, and then in store you can say people purchasing something. So for example, examples like Amazon Go, where you just need to you just grab something and then you move out, and it will automatically kind of bill you out for that instance. So that is something which you can say is more of an example of computer vision. Okay. Some examples right here. So this is where you kind of upload an image and it will find the right top for you and search for you like that. Tesla is another example. Waymo, Google self-driving car, and then Amazon Go. These are examples of computer vision where we use vision to analyze our environment and then generate data. Then comes clustering algorithm, which is much more like unsupervised because the data there is not labeled. So it is unlabeled data where you don't have the output, but you have some patterns. And you're trying to understand the patterns and come up with an output. So for example, sometimes you go to a doctor and you're like, hey, I don't know what's happening, but my, I'm having some fever and I'm having some cough. What is happening to me? I don't understand. And then what does doctor do? He looks at your heartbeat, he looks at your tongue, he looks in your eyes, gathers some data, and then it's unlabeled data because your doctor also doesn't know which disease it is unless he kind of gathers all the data. And then he says that, okay, you might be having XYZ disease. But to confirm it, what you need to do is you need to take a test. And if you take this blood test, you will get a confirmation. And that's how kind of clustering works. So there are two parts in that. Obviously there is anomaly detection. For example, do you have do we think that this guy is not going to pay the bills and he's going to just run away with the money? Okay, or the transaction is not going to happen, or the transaction which you are currently making is on a fraudulent website where they will just eat your money and don't give you a product or something like that. So there are multiple use cases for that as well. And you can definitely have a look at it. And then clustering, where we kind of, group them up into, we kind of cluster, we kind of see the similar faces and then we group them up into a group. For example, coronavirus. So coronavirus is not, only one virus. There are multiple kind of parts of that virus. Okay. And every one of them has a different specification. So yeah, moving forward. Okay. Then comes NLU. Now, NLP has kind of wide range of applications, and it comes with a lot of different applications and a lot of different you can say use cases. I will only focus on NLU, which is natural language understanding, where you kind of pass input as a text or speech to text or handwriting to text, and then the NLU algorithm understands what you're typing, what you're saying, or what you're writing, and then gives you a response. It can be a general action, it can be playing a music for you or something like that. Some applications are chatbots, customer service bots, which you kind of talk with, sales, then you can talk about, personal or virtual assistants, which you kind of use on a daily basis, like Amazon Alexa or Google Assistant and so on. Then comes the concept of reinforcement learning. Okay. So what is reinforcement learning? Reinforcement learning is something which kind of follows a reward and a punish strategy, where you do something good, you get a reward, you don't do something good, you get a punishment. Okay. And that's how the algorithm learns. Effectively, if you kind of look at reinforcement learning, it's just like human beings. Okay. So if you score good marks, you get a cycle. But if you score bad marks, you get a scolding. Okay. If you have if you grow big, you become successful, and so on. So everything is more like dependent on multiple action, and each action which you take has a reward associated with it. It can be a positive or a negative reward. If it is a negative reward, you will never do that again. So for example, you are attending a webinar and the webinar goes blank, it was not useful for you. So you will take that feedback and you will in the near future won't attend it. Okay, so that is something which resonates with reinforcement learning. Majorly, if you like the webinar, you will suggest it to 10 different friends, and next time you will bring more people into it, and you will suggest that speaker to 10 different people as well. Reinforcement learning is still, you can say, new, where a lot of research is still to be made. But there has been a lot of increment, and you can implement reinforcement learning using multiple you can say machine learning and deep learning libraries. So do check them out. Okay, the applications range from gaming, like it can be literally implemented, anywhere, like literally anywhere. Some good examples of reinforcement learning which were there previously were to playing the chess game, or to playing the Go game, or to analyzing, if this kind of drug medicine is going to work or cure people or not. Now, all these research studies have been really helpful, and you can definitely check more applications out of reinforcement learning in the near future. Okay. So now that you know what is machine learning, you know what are the applications of machine learning and what each term resonates with. So for example, if a client comes to you and says that, hey, Ali, we have a website, okay, and we sell jewelry, okay, but we want people, we want a dashboard where we can show people, some recommended items which they can buy based on their previous purchases. So can chat tell me which kind of algorithm which this clients want to implement? Yeah. If the client comes to you and says that, they have a hearing business and they want a page where they can recommend people to buy XYZ stuff because it has been, purchased by a lot of people or because of their previous purchasing habits, which kind of category it will fall under? Yep. Recommendation system. Perfect. Right. Now, if someone comes to you and says that, hey, Ali, we have a business where we kind of, record what people speaks at night. So if he snores, we want to record that and show him in the morning. Or if he says something when he is dreaming, we want to record that and we want to show him in the morning. Now, which kind of problem statement is this? Yeah, where you want to, record snore, or you want to record something which this guy might be speaking in the night. But you don't have to kind of keep the recording device active 24/7. Obviously, that will be a breach of privacy. But you only need to record when you hear someone snoring or something like that. Yeah. So it will be anomaly detection with NLP. Okay, where you kind of understand. So it will not be an NLP; it will be an NLU. Okay, because you will kind of pass that into the system, and then it will understand, and then give you say that, okay, it is not a normal sleeping behavior, so there is an anomaly detected, so we will record it and save it. Okay. Now, what about a system where the business comes to you and says that, hey, Ali, we have been seeing a lot of people putting their money on Dream 11 and on different players on Dream 11. Can we kind of make a machine learning system where we can put this player on top and then record their runs and make a system which can help people win a lot of Dream 11 matches? What kind of system or what kind of problem statement that would be? Yep. Can anyone tell me? Okay, I have a response which is clustering. Okay, so it will be reinforcement learning. Okay, it will be how the players play, and once you do some predictions, then you will guide your algorithm in such a way that, hey, if every time Dhoni is the captain and he scores every time well, so he doesn't score every time well, or he scores every time well, so I'll make him a captain, or I will go with another player in that specific team because in previous patterns he has been there and he has been doing XYZ factors. Okay, So yeah, remember that unless you kind of figure it out which kind of algorithm you are going to use, then libraries is just useless because you don't know what problem you're solving. Okay. So to understand that, that is the first part. Then we come to the libraries. Okay. So for example, you are more inclined towards research. Okay. You want to kind of you are very good with stats. You're very good with maths, and you are a guy who wants to build your custom algorithms, or you want to implement something which is which is your very own research. So for that reason, I would definitely recommend you PyTorch. It is an amazing library, used by it is, you can say, it is the second most popular library after TensorFlow, because TensorFlow is way more popular than PyTorch. It has a reason for it. I will explain that. But again, for research, PyTorch definitely beats any given library at any given time. And PyTorch gives you granular access to kind of methods and to run your models and etc. So you don't have to kind of worry about it, and you can go with PyTorch. Then comes TensorFlow. So for TensorFlow, TensorFlow is we are going to discuss about TensorFlow in a deep in next 15 minutes. So let's skip that part for now. But remember that TensorFlow and Keras, they both sit together. So they earlier they both were different, but Keras runs on top of TensorFlow. So you can consider them both as one kind of. Then comes scikit-learn, which I started my machine learning from. So when I started machine learning, I started with scikit-learn, and I made algorithms using scikit-learn on scale. And it is still used by a lot of people, and it was one of the I won't say it is one of most popular libraries for machine learning out there. Then comes Theano. Okay, so Theano and TensorFlow. So Theano is something which is way back. Okay, and Theano was so if you know this creator, I'm just not remembering his name. Just give me a second. Yeah, he was Ian Goodfellow, and this guy was the creator of Theano. Okay, and no, he Francis is creator of Keras. Okay, so for Tiano, it was Jan Goodfellow, and he was one of the creators. Okay, so when these guys created Tianos, after that he shifted to Google. Okay, and there he created TensorFlow. So if you see the resemblance between Theano and TensorFlow, they both are almost similar. Okay, you can, if you have used both of them, you'll be like they are almost similar. But TensorFlow has kind of some edge on top of Theano. But then you can say that they both kind of are very similar. But Theano is very much faster than TensorFlow in terms of you can say execution and much more things. But yeah, when you are working on your problem statement, then it really becomes very easy. Okay, so yeah, these are some of the libraries which are amazingly used. You can go and research about them, but we are going to discuss about TensorFlow because this is more focused about TensorFlow today. Okay, so what is TensorFlow? So TensorFlow is an open source library. It was something which Google used internally, and then Google open sourced for everyone to use, which like Google usually does that when they use internally some stuff and it works really well. So they open source for the people to use it for themselves. And the word TensorFlow comes with two words, tensor and flow. So tensor is a high dimensional array. Okay. So for example, I'm typing something in the chat. Okay, so tell me what is that. Okay, so if I have a single number, let's say 5, what do you call it as? Let's say I have a single number 5 or a single number 6. What do you call that single number as in numeric terms? Okay, scalar, perfect. Now if I have two numbers together, 5 and 6. Okay, let's say I have 5 and 6 together. What do I call that as? 5 comma 6. Let me add that in the chat. Okay, so you can call it as a simple array or a vector. Okay, now what if you have you know multiple let's say you have one array inside another, or one vector inside another vector. Okay, so what would you call that as? So it is not just one single array right now. It is array inside an array. Okay, now you say that there is a matrix inside a matrix, which becomes a table, and then table inside a table, which becomes a tensor. Okay, so When we say a tensor just means it is a very high dimensional array, okay, or very high dimensional matrix. Okay, it's not a small dimension matrix. Now, just to clarify to people who are not much techy here, um, a small puppy looks like scalar. Something which is a bit long is called as a vector. Something which is more in a square shape where it has multiple data points called as a matrix. And then comes tensor, which is pretty heavy in comparison to other objects you see. And then comes flow. So what is flow? Flow is the flow of this tensor inside how algorithms handle these tensors. Okay, so that's how it was named as TensorFlow. And that's a very small story. Now, uh, how what do you get in TensorFlow? What are the different layers of TensorFlow, and how do you get started with TensorFlow? If you are a Python developer, or you are a C developer, or you are a JavaScript developer. Now, TensorFlow, because it is a library. Okay, so library. When I say something as a library means end-to-end stuff, right? Now, at the same time, you can implement stuff without using a library, but then that would be very stupid of you, because it doesn't make much sense, because there is something which can already do stuff. So why do you want to just repeat that? Okay, that is why do you want to reinvent the wheel uh, just for doing small tasks? But if you are a big company and you want to develop something of your own, definitely you should consider making your own library. But for people who want to use TensorFlow, TensorFlow has mainly 5 different segments: TensorFlow Core, TensorFlow.js, TensorFlow for mobile and IoT, TensorFlow Extended, that is TensorFlow for production, and then TensorFlow for Swift. Okay, so TensorFlow Core, as the name suggests, it is the core of TensorFlow. It works. So you can use Python, and you can make machine learning models using TensorFlow Core. You can literally implement any algorithm in TensorFlow directly. Then comes TensorFlow.js for web lovers, okay, for people who are using JavaScript on their day-to-day life. So they don't want to learn Python to just do machine learning. So for that reason, TensorFlow came up with TF.js. TF.js is obviously a JavaScript version where you can do the same powerful operations but in JavaScript. So you don't have to switch your language. You can actually work with JavaScript and do the same kind of things. Then comes TensorFlow for mobile and IoT, or TensorFlow Lite. TensorFlow Lite gives you the ability to deploy a model on edge devices. Can someone tell me what do I mean by edge devices? Yeah. Can someone tell me in the chat what do I mean by edge devices? When I say an edge device, I might be referring to something, right? Yeah, so you can say microcontroller, or a device which is very small in terms of capacity, in terms of power. Okay, so for example, a CCTV camera, or a Raspberry Pi, which is a very small computer, and it doesn't have much of a memory, much of a RAM, or much of a compute power. Okay, and I want to run machine learning model on top of that devices. So I really need to kind of optimize it in such a way that my machine learning model actually runs on top of that, right? So yeah, then comes TensorFlow Extended, where you want to run that machine learning model at scale. Okay, I'll show you some examples, no need to worry. And then comes TensorFlow for Swift. Now, it is very much in beta. So TensorFlow for Swift is for Swift lovers who are doing programming in Swift, and they want to implement or make machine learning models in Swift programming language. They can go for TensorFlow for Swift. Okay, let's go ahead and learn more about it. So this is one single image where it will give you everything about it, like TensorFlow Core, TensorFlow.js, TensorFlow Lite, TFX, and Swift. Okay, so TensorFlow Core. Now, TensorFlow Core is designed in such a way that even if you are a beginner, it will be easy for you. If you're not a beginner, you are an advanced user. At the same time, you can use it to do research as well. Okay, so it is not like you cannot do research in TensorFlow. You definitely can. And with TensorFlow 2.0 and to the latest version 2.3 in the market, they have really come up with amazing optimizations and ability to write low-level code very easily and access it and run your actually, I guess, went away. Is it so? Okay. Just give me a second. I'll reshare it. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's how. Now here you can see program examples of TensorFlow for beginners and TensorFlow for, you can say, an advanced user. Okay, and they don't only one thing you can see. If you look closely, you can see that this is very simple code. Okay, a very simple neural network. At the same time, if you want to make the same neural network but you want much more optimizations there, so then you can actually make a class out of it, and you can actually define your custom layers and do much more things than just calling simple functions and making your neural network. So yeah, TensorFlow Code offers you flexibility to do your work in a way you want and implement algorithms which you like. A classic example of this is Neural Style project, which is implemented in TensorFlow. You can go have a look at the repository. So this is the normal image, and this is the Neural Style transfer, which was implemented using TensorFlow. Then another project, Then we talk about TensorFlow Lite. Now, TensorFlow Lite is obviously you train a machine learning model on TensorFlow Core, and then you convert that model to TensorFlow Lite. Okay, so there is a very good project by my mentor, you can say Sayak, and Margareta. So they both have developed a very amazing coordinator using TensorFlow Lite. You will definitely check it out, and it is really, really awesome. Where you deploy that model on an Android device, and you click your photo, and that will convert your photo into a cartoon. Okay, that sounds fun, right? So yeah, go ahead and check that out. And that is a project of TensorFlow Lite. So you train your model in TensorFlow Core. Okay, you kind of you build your model in TensorFlow Core, and then you deploy that model on TensorFlow Mobile. Okay, so how do you do that? Obviously, you need to kind of put some optimizations in place so that it works. And for that, we use TF Lite. Here also, you can see another example of object detection on mobile. So the model is running on your mobile phone. Okay, it's not kind of running on a server. It is running on mobile phone, on device. So yeah, that is some cool example of TensorFlow Lite. Then comes TensorFlow.js. TensorFlow.js means writing your code in browser. So, using JavaScript and writing for web directly. So if you already have a web application which is written in Node, you really need not to do anything else or switch to any other programming language. You can actually make everything in JavaScript and deploy a model which will run right in the browser. Okay. So this one very good example of TFGS is teachable machines, which can let you create a model with zero code right in the browser. I'll show you an example. This is my example where I created detecting mask or not mask without, you can say, writing a single line of code by just using a pre-made application which was made using TensorFlow.js. If you want to try this out and you want to make it, I have made a YouTube video out of it, and it is there on my channel. You can see the URL right there on the screen. I have added that in the chat as well, and you can go there and you can make your machine learning models with zero coding by using the TFGS application teachable machine. Okay, so yeah, you can create applications like that on scale, and that would really be helpful for you to kind of create projects right there. Then so there are multiple projects of you can do in TFGS. So another product was TensorFlow Extended or TensorFlow for Production. So here Google India came up with a very amazing concept. Okay, so can anyone tell me when do we celebrate? So I am assuming that everyone here is from India. So when do we celebrate our Independence Day? Yeah. Anyone would like to tell me that? It's a very simple question. 15 August, right? So Google wanted to do something unique using machine learning, and what they did was they actually, told people to sing the national anthem and record it on their mobile phone in English or in Hindi, and then they will combine all the voices together using machine learning, and then they will play that on 15th August. Now, how cool is that, right? So, how also you just need to sing it, and they will auto tune it for you. So you don't need to kind of use a guitar and then sing together, but you can just sing it and they will auto tune it automatically. Okay. So yeah, that was awesome. And so that was done using TFJS. Okay. It was TensorFlow.js with TensorFlow extended because it was at scale. How many people do we have in India? We have 1.3 billion people in India, right? And even if 10% of the people actually did this, okay, so we will have around 100 million people who will be kind of doing, using this application. 100 million people recording their voices, take care of privacy on the browser. They don't want to install any stuff and something, and then it should be scalable. So that's where TensorFlow Extended comes into the place, where your model is scalable across the globe. Okay, so yeah, with TFJS and TensorFlow Extended, you can make applications like that, right? How cool is that? So yeah, uh, so these were some of the tips. Now I have not included examples of Swift because again it will be the same examples. It is not something very different. But because I'm not an iOS developer, so I'm not much aware about it. So that's why I have totally skipped it. But you can definitely go to tensorflow.org and check it out. It's very amazing and very simple. So do definitely go there and check that out. You will be able to kind of have an overview about it. Uh, One thing which I want to leave you with is always remember problem solving is greater than any technology which you use. So, what I see a lot of times is people learn TensorFlow first, and then they are like, hey, I know TensorFlow. Now, what things I need to solve with TensorFlow? It should not be like that approach. Okay, so approach should be, okay, I have a problem in machine learning. Okay, so it's not like TensorFlow can add two variables, it can multiply two variables, but it doesn't mean you use TensorFlow to do that. Okay, you can do that using simple Python. You can do that simple calculator. Okay, you can do it using on your console using JavaScript. So you don't need to kind of exaggerate the technology to fit and then learn the technology and then come and say that, oh, what problem do I need to solve? No. Yeah, unless you are going with a strategy where you want to work at a company. So, for example, there's a huge demand of TensorFlow developers. Okay, and that's why Google launched the TensorFlow certification. So, if you are, in the near future willing to kind of work for some company which is solving using TensorFlow, so you can definitely learn TensorFlow and then go and apply for a job. Okay, but if you are an individual developer, evaluate your options and then learn a technology. Okay, if you are more inclined towards research, then you can go and learn TensorFlow in a way which will help you in research. Okay. Now I am more of a guy who loves deployment. Okay. So I'm not a guy who will make a project and keep it to myself. I'm a guy who will make a project and tell it to 100 different people. So to me, learning TensorFlow is, it's like to make projects. I want to make multiple projects and I want to share it with people. For example, the COVID project, which I made and shared it with people. Okay. The mask project, which I made and shared with people. So, kind of try to do something which actually solves the problem and then learn technology regarding that. So yeah, that's it from my side. If you have any questions, I would be more than happy. If you would like to connect with me or would you like to invite me somewhere on a coffee, maybe I would be more than happy to kind of receive your invitation. You can reach out to me at any given handles or you can just contact me at iali.dev. That is my website. And you can just Google me. You will find a lot of information about me there as well. So if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to take it because I can see there are a lot of, I actually took one complete hour. So if there are much more questions, I would be more than happy to take them. But if there are none, yeah, that's how I can end it. So yeah, uh, I always say that, humans are hooked up and machines are learning. So remember to kind of take breaks and also learn machine learning in between.
Hey,
Over to you, Vinayak.
thank you. One second, let me just. Hello.
Yeah, Vinayak, we are able to hear you.
Great. Guys, how was the session? Uh, all of you, I hope all of you learned a lot, and it was awesome to have Ali. Please shoot. I think Ali, can you spare a couple of minutes, 2 3
Sure,
minutes
sure, sure.
to answer
I can
the
do
questions?
it. Yeah.
Yeah, so guys, if you have any questions, please put it on the chat window. Ali can, uh, answer those questions. Ali, can I remove your screen?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. Hey guys, so you do you have any questions? Um, API and so we have one question from Vishwa. API and on-click monetization. What's your view? Which is more secure and fast? What do you think, Ali?
Yeah, so I'm a bit confused about the question in which direction you are asking.
Hey, so Vishwa, would you like to clarify it a little more on the chat? Anybody, REST API and the event
Yeah.
streaming.
So let's say if you're using a REST API, obviously it is proven that it kind of definitely is fast. Okay. But when we talk about let's say doing it on device where we are not sending data using REST API somewhere, and we're doing it right there, it is obviously much faster and much secure because you're not. So if you see a use case where Google has smart reply and smart compose, where you type emails and it automatically kind of add details. For example, you're like thank you or welcome, hope you're doing, and then it completes it, right? So that's something which is on device, which is more secure because you're not sending data anywhere else, and at the same time you're doing it right there in the browser or in the mobile phone. And yeah, that is more secure obviously and is more fast, but it is like you have to send the update again and again to the mobile device. And yeah, but if you use REST APIs, that is also really good and faster. But it is use case where you don't want to expose your model. You are more, in a way that you want to monetize it. You want people to kind of, pay you for per request basis and not kind of, um, you can say per model basis, something like that. So yeah, that is also something which you can do. Can you share any proper documentation for model deployment using TensorFlow? Yeah, so if you are looking for deployment on device, let's say if you're using for deployment on mobile phones or you're looking for documentation, I feel TensorFlow community is really pretty big, and you will find a ton of an articles around all the scopes, and there are pretty good Google developer experts available there who kind of on a daily basis make content for the community. So one recommendation would be to join the TFUGs, where you can connect with these mentors, and you will find a lot of links in that groups. Okay, which will be coming on a on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. So you will get updated with the latest, you can say, tutorials, documentations, and new features in the Telegram community. Or else you can follow the official doc. The official doc of TensorFlow is very clean, very neatly written, and the community is also very big and very much supportive. So you can use both the ways to kind of go ahead and do that. I am coming up with a series on TensorFlow, which is more technical towards making the model, then bundling the model, and then deploying the model. So I will be coming up with that in the month of December, where currently I'm preparing some content for it. So it is going to be like 4 week series where every week you work on. So on week one you will work on TensorFlow core, and then you will make a model, you'll deploy that model, and you will see how it performs. Then it will be next week. It will be for TFJS, where you work on a TFJS model, you evaluate it, and then you deploy it. So you can definitely follow there, and that would really be helpful.
Awesome. Ali, we have one more question from
Sure.
Rashmi. I was planning to build a virtual assistant using TensorFlow. Sorry, I completely skipped my mind. So, one before we take that question. So, as you were saying, Ali, the documentation of TensorFlow is really good, of course. And if you want any support, which is real time, if you're facing any problems, as Ali mentioned, TensorFlow user groups are all over India. Ali is part of TensorFlow user group Mumbai. I am part of TensorFlow user group Bangalore. There are a lot of other TFUGs all over India, and most of them, if not all, have their Telegram channels. You can join multiple. There is no like a hard limit on if you can only join the one you are based out of. So you can ask your questions in those channels, and you get reply almost instantly, if not instantly, in a couple of hours. So that's the power of community that TensorFlow has built, and we are all part of it, right? Yeah, so just after that, and you can join the community using the links that you're seeing on the screen today, right now. So let's take Rashmi's question. Rashmi's question was, I was planning to build a virtual assistant using TensorFlow. I've learned NLP and used NLTK library and know how it works. Working on TF, will it be difficult?
Yeah. So when we talk about TensorFlow, what happens with TensorFlow is that it is something which is like which is specifically for machine learning. Now in chatbot, what you're gonna do is you will have to train a model which will take the input and then segregate it and then do a response and then send it back to the user. Now, for that reason, what I would recommend you is to use another library, okay, which is I just forget the name. Um, it supports TensorFlow there. So I just forgot the name, man. Rasa, yeah, yeah. So Rasa is
Yeah.
I have worked with Rasa for like 6 to 8 months. It is really awesome. So what you can do is you can bring in your own custom TensorFlow models, and you can train a model using Rasa. But Rasa is very low level. That means you really need to kind of get into it, and you really need to kind of define a storyline, then train the machine learning model, and then train it using human interactions as well. And I would definitely recommend you Rasa because it is open source and it is really really awesome, where you can kind of design a chatbot because it bundles a lot of different things which are required for a chatbot. Okay, TensorFlow is more towards machine learning, so TensorFlow part is there inside Rasa as well. So you can use TensorFlow models to do that directly inside Rasa as well. So yeah, I would recommend you to go and have a look at Rasa, and that would really be helpful, and it would be awesome.
So just to add over here, so I work at a company which designs voice assistants, right? So we also have our NLP model. So one of the things that we saw, right, that if you just want to create a virtual assistant, which is not for like a project or something, instead of going to Rasa, which will, it's a big, it's quite difficult. It's not easy. To answer your question, it's Rasa is very difficult, right? Because as Ali said,
Yeah,
it's very low level,
yeah.
right? So it's complicated. The community is not that strong over there, right? But you can use tools like Dialogflow, or if you, which basically is sort of a you can create your own conversation designs, and it gives you an NLP out of the box. So you can possibly look at using that, or there are other companies which also offer similar solutions. You can use that. I don't want to give a plug to my company over here. Just want to keep it TensorFlow, so I won't say the name. So yeah, uh, you can look at that. So we have one more question.
Sure,
Can
sure,
you
sure.
share references on object detections using video streaming using TensorFlow? What will you recommend for production?
Sure. So when we talk about streaming, right? So TensorFlow object detection, by default, TensorFlow provides you an API for object detection. So they have pre-trained some models, and they provide you that as an API where you can use it very efficiently, and you can do it real time as well. Now there are two parts to this. Okay, one part is where you want that to be deployed on an edge device. For example, I usually when I design that PPE COVID kit, I wanted it to be on device, right? So whenever there is a COVID ward, I want it to be deployed there, so that people whenever they are coming outside, they are wearing PPE before they enter the COVID ward. And so for that reason, what I did was I bundled the model, converted it into TF Lite, and then deployed it on an Android device. And I also made a version of Raspberry Pi where it was a standalone thing, where it could be work directly integrated with the Raspberry Pi and the camera, which is already in place in hospitals. Now, when you are working with object detection over the internet, let's say you are here and you want to kind of grab a video somewhere else and then pass that to an object detection algorithm and then give an output, revert back an output which is having boxes inside that. That is really, you can say, bandwidth heavy. So the bandwidth is going to be it is going to be huge, because you are sending the video, then you are receiving back the video, and then you are running the model on the server as well. Okay, so I usually recommend it to ship it on device, but if you're not, then that is like totally fine. But what you can do is you can use Docker, and you can use OpenCV. That will enable you to pass the so in general what happens is, whenever we talk about even real-time object detection, it's just like frame by frame. So what is a video? Video is nothing but bunch of images together run at a fps per second, and that becomes a video. So what it will do, what you can do is you can pre-process your video using OpenCV and segregate it into frames, and then pass that frames line by line into the Docker, and then get a response frame by frame, bundle it up again using OpenCV, and pass it to your endpoint. And that would be the better approach. There are multiple kind of articles out there, so you can see the blogs on Towards Data Science, and that will really give you the idea of how to do it. But yeah, this is something which I would do if you would ask me, how would I do it? So
So
yeah.
great, great, Ali. So we'll take last question because we are already out of time. Right? Sorry,
Yeah.
Vishwa, we won't be able to take your question. Let's just. So Ananda asks, what is the best way? I'm sure, Ali, this is. Can you give a very short answer to this?
Sure.
Where should a person start learning TensorFlow?
So the very short answer is go to documentation and the TensorFlow user group. Okay. So why? Because we have catered a lot of resources. Okay. So these groups exist from not 1 2 days before. It's like months before. Okay. And what happens is most of the
Right.
time people kind of jump in and they kind of ask for resources. Hey, I'm a beginner in TensorFlow. Where can I learn TensorFlow? Okay. I am a newbie, but I know JavaScript. Where can I learn that? And so on and so forth. And people send URLs there, so it becomes a resource.
Yes.
And then you will get a single message where all the messages will be out there, so you don't really need to worry about it. Okay, so join the groups.
So,
Okay, you will find all the information there, but at the same time TensorFlow's documentation is pretty clean with a lot of tutorials.
exactly. Yeah.
So it is not a hard task to learn TensorFlow. The hard task is to figure out what projects you're going to make using TensorFlow. Okay, so yeah.
Great. So just to answer your question, Ananda, start with TensorFlow documentation and join the communities where you can get help. Right. So Yashwant, so this is the last question, guys. Yashwant asks, any tips for enhancing existing business intelligence solutions using machine learning?
So yeah, for business intelligence for BI, you usually have a lot of third-party tools. Okay, so for example, like
Yep.
if you see Microsoft, they are the ones who are actually kind of leading the industry in BI, in
Yeah.
business intelligence. If you see the grand chart, it is they are considered as leaders in BI or business intelligence, and they use machine learning and artificial intelligence a lot more than ever. And obviously it is whenever you're doing BI, you're not actually using the machine learning model like that. You are actually you're just bringing data, and then you're just doing some configurations, because most of the times when you're doing BI, you are focused about driving more value than you are actually focused towards understanding how the algorithm
Exactly.
works. Okay, so you don't care if the
Yes.
algorithm if it takes two variables or it takes three variables. You care that if it is giving you more insight or the edge with your competitor. Okay, so Amazon Prime will definitely not care if how you're using TensorFlow or PyTorch behind the scenes. They will care that, hey, you're getting more subscribers than Netflix. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, and our algorithm is working. So like for the example, if you see the Mirzapur hype, right, and what has prompted in if you see Amazon Prime leading that way, right, and this is all BI. Okay, so understand that in BI you use machine learning and AI, but you actually use it under the hood, and you don't use it on top of that. and you will see Power BI is one of the examples. Google Cloud has multiple solutions out there. So yeah, you can definitely test it out and see what works for your business, and go ahead with what works. Do your research, and then you can zero down on a software.
Yep. That's a great great answer, Ali. So use so for business intelligence, people usually it's a long way for you to apply your own models. So there are startups like Alpha.ai which have actually they're trying to use NLP to answer very general way of asking questions. Ki mera, how many sales did I have last month, right? So a lot
Yeah,
of these features are also supported by Microsoft Dynamics, if I'm not
yeah,
wrong.
yeah,
Right, whatever their BI software is, they have a lot of components in it. So there's such question, there's such things that they're working with, and you can just upload your data, put up your questions. That's all. You'll get the answer. Even Google Analytics has that now. Right, you can ask natural language queries.
yeah.
So again, guys, so Arvind and Vishwan, we are sorry. I don't think we won't be able to take any more questions right now. Uh, it's a little, we are already running very late today. So let's wrap it up. The recording will be available on our YouTube channel. So I just set it up, so it's not very customized. So just bear with me. Give me a couple of days. I'll also put it up on the TensorFlow user group, Bangalore Telegram community. Right. You can also I'll also post it on my LinkedIn channel and my Twitter, so you can find it over there also. Right. So that's all, guys. Thanks a lot for yes. There. Oh, right. Sorry, I'm so sorry. There are going to be follow-up sessions. The next one we are having is on 5th. Sorry, just 1 second. Yeah, the next we'll have on 5th. Uh, so just stay tuned. I'll be mailing all of you for the title of the session. And we'll call Ali once again for a deeper session. Right?
Sure.
Yes, we will be having more and more sessions, and all of them we'll upload on our YouTube page, on TensorFlow user group Bangalore page. Thanks, Ali. Thanks for doing this. Super cool to have you on such a short notice. It was an amazing event and amazingly done. We loved your analogy. We loved the crying babies. So thank you. Thanks, Ali.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Bye bye. Nice meeting you guys. Stay safe, stay indoors, and please don't forget to wear your mask when you go out. Yeah. We are not done with COVID yet.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.